Nvidia reported their earnings, and blockbuster earnings, blew it out
again.
And really sent shockwaves through Wall Street. And then the next day, the stock went up over $100, and they gained over $250 billion in market cap in one day.
273.
It was the highest ever for one day. I think they passed Meta as far as their market cap is concerned.
Saved my career.
Yeah, they passed Meta for the single day record for highest revenue in a day.
So the AI boom, still booming. Nvidia, that was an extremely impressive earnings report that they had. And, like I said, that kind of shook up Wall Street when it happened. So, Nvidia has become a stock that we've been talking about every single week on Market Monday. But, okay. So what's the deal?
Can we start with some numbers?
Yes, we can.
Let's start with some numbers, man, because Wednesday was, it felt like the largest album drop of the year, when that meant something in the late 90s. It was like the Super Bowl for me. The anticipation of everybody. I mean, not only was it big for Nvidia on how they were going to report, but it felt like the entire market was waiting and
was relying on them,
relying on what was going to come out of their earnings call, and I guess the call after when Ginseng spoke. And so at 420, I was watching the chart and we saw it tick down, I said, we might be in trouble. And then 10 minutes later, it went back up about $5. I'm like, okay, we're moving. And I guess people were just waiting to hear the data center report. They wanted to hear the impact that the China restrictions and we're going to have. Then 15 minutes later, we watched it climb over 700. I said, this is going to be something good. And obviously, when the report came back about China, the data centers booming, we saw that thing rise up to $735. And I'm like, okay, tomorrow's going to be an incredible day. And it was. I mean, we watched, like you said, we watched it go up $110, set the record at $273 billion. The record that was Meta's just earlier in the month was $205. It was incredible. Here's some of the numbers, though, from what happened last week. All right, so Nvidia, think about this. A year ago, the market cap was $580 billion. 1 year ago, so in January 23, that was the market cap. The market cap currently sits at 1.9 trillion.
What's
1.9 trillion. In 1 year, they went from 580 billion to 1.9 trillion. On the way, they passed Alphabet, they passed Amazon, which we spoke about. They are now behind Microsoft, which is at 3 trillion, and Apple at 2.8 trillion. At this pace, they'll be past both of them before the end of this year. That's the first number, 1.9 trillion. Second number, 69 billion. That's what they did in revenue from the year that ended, from their calendar year that ended in January 28th.
A hell of a
this
number.
year. 60 billion, right? That's up 6 times from 2022. Wall Street is expecting Nvidia's revenue to be at 100 billion in the 2025 fiscal year. So we're talking about another 40 billion in expectation by next year. So when we're talking about the momentum of this AI movement, obviously Nvidia is leading it, and we're trying to figure out, is this run going to stop? Will they pull back? All signs are showing that there's still room to go on this, right? So 60,
I have it going to 1030, 78.
Crazy. The last number, and this is probably the most impressive, and I think, Ian, you spoke about it last week, 48.8%. That is the representation of the net margin of profit that Nvidia is making. What does that mean? That means for every dollar in revenue that they bring in, they're nearly taking 50%. 50% for every dollar. In comparison, and I'm going to say this in advance, Microsoft obviously takes in more revenue, and Apple takes in more revenue, but their net margin, Apple, 25%.
25%, yeah.
Microsoft, 34%. Nvidia is doing nearly 50% in net margin. That's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. I'm not sure if we will.
None before it, none to come. The homie that's rapping is the only one that has it. Hey, Rashad, you notice nobody ever said that Nvidia charges too much? Like, okay, listen, profit margin 48%, operating margin 54%. revenue is amazing. If we look at all-time return, 191,000% 5-year return, 1,800% return over a 5-year period. Told you this is my stock of 2023. I've been recommending it in Red Panda for 4 or 5 years. Like, this is what happens when you build a business that actually helps companies across the globe. Sorry, Rivian. Sorry, Hertz. We'll talk about Palo Alto later. But when companies don't build a real product that can help companies be better, be more efficient, change the lives of the people that are buying from them, you don't get these kind of results. When you do, this is a possible outcome. I know people thought I was crazy when I said Nvidia was more valuable than Amazon. Amazon does ship more packages, but if you're getting 50% of all money that comes in to stay in your business, and you have 6 major clients that are paying you, like, how much did Meta pay recently to Nvidia?
The last quarter, he said that they were buying over 300,000. So I think the revenue or the spend was around 8 to 10 billion.
So that's $4 billion just tucked off from Zuckerberg.
Quick.
To pass up Zuckerberg and the single day gain in terms of market cap. Like, I don't know what else there is to say. Like, are they more valuable than Apple and Microsoft? Yet? Not yet. Will they be? They probably will pass them and come back down. Will they dip? Yes, there's a correction every week, every day, every month. They should come back down to the 600s at some point, but I have them get into 10, 30, 70 within, I don't know, 8 to 13 months. That's
So
my ultimate target for them.
Your price target is 1,070, you said? And
$30.70.
In 8 to 13 months?
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, not far off from when Loop Capital raised their price target to 1,200. We saw a bunch of people.
Why are we talking about Luke Longley? I'm just joking. Shout out to Luke Capital. I can't offend all connections this year. So shout out to Luke Capital. I love y'all. Shout out to Dara. Shout out to Meta. Who else I got to shout out? There's a few others. I thank y'all for bleeping our boy name out too. You got to keep.
Oh, protect the brand. Protect the brand
At all costs.
Protect the brand. Yeah, I mean, the upside is still there, right? So when we're talking about a stock that has, I mean, gone up 243% last year, it's up over 50% this year, and it still has bright days ahead of it.
Is it an indictment on Nvidia or the rest of the market that the rest of the market is not producing results, products or services that people actually want? It's not a sexy business. They started in gaming. They made a transition. They delivered every single time. I don't know what he likes to do in his spare time. I don't know who he's dating. I don't know his thoughts on Dogecoin. So when I see a focused CEO, we should be having the same conversation about Elon. Jensen doesn't have 42 kids running around the Bahamas and everywhere else. This is what happens when a CEO is focused. And also, too, I think it's a great lesson. When you have a moment, kind of like what we did with Market Mondays, like once we got an opportunity, man, we strangled the life out of it. They're taking full advantage of the missteps of a Micron. I know people get tired of me beating up on IBM and Intel. I don't care about that dumbass crypto partnership they have. If they were focused, they could be here. Texas Instruments, they have a great business, but they could have also been in this spot. I think this is more of a revelation of what happens when a company is incredibly focused on one mission, one goal, and we don't see a lot of infighting in Nvidia. Everyone's focused on one mission, and that is, as a result, stock is going parabolic. If I've made you money, please put yes in chat, and please join the stock club.
A rising tide lifts all boats. It has lifted the entire economy. Right? The NASDAQ was up 460 points. 460, right? Think about how it traded early last week. It was down Monday, it was down Tuesday, even Wednesday. Nvidia pulled back, right? Got under 670, right around that number. Yeah. And then Thursday happened after they reported. And not only did the NASDAQ rise 400 a bit, you saw a TSM rise. You saw all the semis rise, right? You even saw, and you said Palo Alto, but even Palo Alto that dropped 29% the day before was up 2%, right? So this, we used to look at Apple like that, right? It was like, well, how will Apple's earnings look, and what would that mean for the economy, and what will it do? And now, quickly, within 12 months, that is now turned into Nvidia. Every quarter, it's going to be indicative of the market on how they report their earnings. So, kudos to Jensen. We said top 2 last year. Oh, it was like early this year, right? We said top 2, maybe not 2. Number one.
Hands down, good CEO of the year for 2024. Hands down. So
already.
and I know people are asking, what's the next Nvidia? There is no next. You have to find another sector. What's the next Market Mondays? The ones that tried failed. Espiritu Santo. Yep, zoom to me. Ones that tried fail. Respectfully and humbly. So now, if you want to find which one is going to be the next thing, you have to go rotate to another sector. This is when sector rotation does matter, and look for an up-and-coming company that's been public maybe 5 or 6 years that can have a breakthrough technology. When I was getting my trading computer built, every person that I knew was recommending Nvidia. AMD was secondary. That told me a lot. Everyone who was in gaming already knew about the power of Nvidia. So if you want to find the next Nvidia, it's probably going to be in another sector. Please start searching tonight. I will look at some international markets. It's probably not going to be a utility company. It has to be something correlated with tech or healthcare to get your gain, and you'll be good.